So let's put those two together, and I'm going to tuck some little things in your hands as we sing. Be open for something wonderful to happen. Be open for something wonderful to happen. Be open to the possibilities. Be open to the possibilities. Be open for something wonderful to happen. Be open for something wonderful to happen. Be open to the possibilities. Be open to the possibilities. Aye, 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 welcome, friends. Welcome to Fruition. Welcome to Sunday morning. Welcome to the newest members of your family in your hands. Welcome to this beloved community. We're about to walk out to the farm. I mean, you have landed on the farm. We're about to walk into the heart of plants growing on the farm. And as we walk, thank you for greeting the seeds in your hands before you put them in your pocket. Just get to know them a little bit as you get to know and greet the friends beside you. So follow me and welcome.
I have to see. Thank you. But you know what?
I think these are vocabulary. Oh, what are children for? Nice.
Keep the deer out.
Yes. I did not see it as a food prison or a plant prison, but I'm also. Let's stop here. Let's make a circle again. So when people ask if I have children, Matthew and I say, yes, and we have great grandchildren. And we put them in packets. And if we think they have a sense of humor, we say, and you can eat them. And welcome. This is land that we've been on now for 10 years. So I grew up in my father's garden almost 4 decades ago, 10 miles that way. And I just love to just acknowledge that this is unceded Haudenosaunee Onondaga land. And there is so much history, beautiful and brutal, in this place, and so much history that will unfold yet in this place. And we are so grateful to be here for this little moment of time with you all. And we grow seeds here. You'll see lots of plants that you might recognize in life cycles that you might recognize. Also, some plants you might not recognize in the life stage that they're in. I can't wait to dive in a little further. But I just wanted to share first, as we're here on the edge, if you could bring out those seeds again, just for a moment, and take a look at those seeds and turn them over in your palm. and just take in all the colors, all the contours, the shininess. Imagine you're meeting a brand new niece, nephew, nibbling. Imagine you're seeing a brand new little baby in the world, the newest member of your family, and how you just want to drink in every little detail of that new person. You're meeting a new being now. And if you would and feel comfortable, close your eyes and just feel that. Feel the smoothness, feel the hardness and the softness. Feel the way one end tapers. Bless us all. And open your eyes again. And remember that these seeds, these are our 400 million year old ancestors, mentors. We are the little children playing parent on this farm. And I welcome you to this place. These seeds have been grown for countless generations, plant and human, and they may yet be growing for countless generations. I hope they might go home with you in your pocket. And it's too late to grow them this year to have these sunflowers grow and become seeds that may go to seed, but they will be fabulous for next year. So keep them squirreled away from the mice and such, and you will have some glorious sunflowers for next year. And so, yes, knowing that each of us are the seeds with countless generations, endlessly adapting with each generation to bring us here to this moment. We are accompanied by all of these seeds moving forward, which reminds me of the first principle of the inherent worth and dignity of every person, which I love to think of as every sentient being. And so let's today welcome these seeds in our pockets and all around us as the next layer of our first principle. So come on in. And here we have a burgeoning orchard. We have apricots and plums, northern hardy, almonds and pecans, with lots of perennial herbal medicines in between. And we also have a fairly copious quantity of horseradish. We are diving more deeply into our lineage, into our cultural roots, and as a means of how do we explore whiteness and dismantling white supremacy, a la, I just learned about the 8th principle. Holy moly, do you all know the 8th principle?
We just adopted it.
Yes, congratulations. I love you all. So this, one of the ways that I love to think about that is looking at our cultural, historical, culinary roots, and what are those seeds and how can we deepen our relationship with those? What is that?
I thought there were 7.
Oh, you know, we are a living tradition. And so we get to constantly adapt, just like these seeds are constantly adapting to more rain or less rain. And we as a people get to adapt to things that we learn as we grow. So we've just adopted an 8th principle, which is really exciting, that we'll talk about
What's
really
the 8th
soon.
principle?
That's right. Let's talk about it. Oh, Danielle, do you want to open your phone? I don't have it memorized. Yeah, it is. The 8th principle is journeying toward a spiritual wholeness by working to build a diverse, multicultural, beloved community by our actions, accountably dismantling racism and other oppressions in ourselves and in our institutions. Is a fabulous addition.
Excuse me?
Excuse me.
What are those flowers?
Oh, let's talk. Those are zinnias.
Wow.
Those are Bentley's wine zinnias. And the hummingbirds like them as much as you do.
Oh, they're beautiful.
Aren't
And they're pink.
The hardest part of growing zinnias for seeds is that we're growing them for seed and not bouquets. So I can't send you all home with bouquets of zinnias. I can by mid-September. mid-September, none of those flowers are going to actually mature seeds. We've had several friends that organized their weddings and dates around the fact that, around that fact. But for now, we're letting them all go to seed so that they can be many generations. So here, I would love to explore the second principle. Would anyone like to shout out the second principle? Oh yes, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. Come right this way. We have some things to explore.
Yay, I love it. Why you just so much fun? Look at that. Is that a greenhouse?
It is actually called a high tunnel more than a greenhouse. A greenhouse is generally a place to propagate or grow young plants. Where there are other names for plants for tunnels.
Are we going in there?
We are.
What's in there?
Oh my gosh, find out. This. Do you have any guesses? Come on in and watch your step.
Why watch our step?
There's lots of uneven ground and things like that popping out. Admittedly,
And weird rocks.
yes, weird rocks, all kinds of things.
Crazy thing above piping.
Let's see if we can kind of be a big circle or a big line in this row.
Plants are line
Just
or
wanna
not?
come this way. Just careful with plants. Yeah.
You don't
Welcome in.
No.
So, does anyone recognize this plant towering above us with the bright purple flowers? It is a thistle. It looks exactly like an artichoke would look. In fact, it's a cardoon. Does anyone know what a cardoon is? Imagine an artichoke and how delicious an artichoke is, and then there in the center is that artichoke heart. A cardoon, the entire midrib of each leaf tastes like an artichoke heart. They're luscious, and you eat them in their first year before they flower, when their midrib is this wide and about that long. So they're putting all of that energy up into their flowers, into the next generation now. So I'm really excited that you get to see them at this stage. This is a project we've been working on for a few years to try to overwinter them, and little by little they have finally arrived to a very consistent state of overwintering. And I wanted to share this plant with you as well. Does anyone recognize what this plant might be? Quinoa.
Is it really?
It is not, but it has similarities for sure.
Not
No, it's a quality guess. So this is a beet. This is a beet going to seed. This is one of my favorite things about growing seeds, right? Because sometimes we know the life cycle of a seed, even if we don't think of it that way, right? We plant in early June a watermelon seed, and by August we're spitting watermelon seeds at our friends. So whether we think about it or not, we've witnessed the entirety of a plant's life cycle. Beets, on the other hand, like, where's the seed in a cabbage? Where's the seed in an onion? And so this is one of my favorite things, just loving plants as I do. It's so fun to save seeds because you get to see this whole other part of a plant's life cycle. So these are beets that our dear friend Nathaniel grew on his farm last fall. We overwintered them in our root cellar, planted them in March, and in a couple of weeks we will be harvesting them. And I wanted to share too, there are so many ways to think about food and everything. And some people write new poems, and other people create new songs, and some people create brand new vegetables. And our friend Solveig has been co-adapting with this beet the last almost decade. And so this is a brand new beet in the world. We call it Blushing Not Bashful. It's a white beet that is white on the outside with a blush of rose on the outside. The inside is entirely ivory, and it's super sweet. We call it a salad beet because There's none of that oxalic acid. If anyone ever asks if you can get a PhD in beets, say yes, confidently. Our friend Solveig did, and this is one of the many morsels the world has to offer. And one of the things that I love about Solveig and the way that she's thinking about these seeds too, and how it relates to our second principle, which I'll look up again because I don't remember: justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. Cheers for notes. How it relates to our second principle is thinking about seed ownership and how many, the vast, over 90% of the seeds on the planet that are actually patented and owned. And I get it in some ways. We create new vegetable, new varieties ourselves, and there's a lot of work involved. And to think that I could own a person like humans were owned 500 years ago, I have a lot of feelings about it. And I didn't see this a decade ago, but I feel now that selling seeds is very problematic. And so I'll be spending the rest of my life finding ways to bridge these times. We'll talk about more about that soon, but just wanting to lift up our dear friend Solveig, who could have chosen to patent this beet to make it a hybrid, which is another way to more deeply encapsulate seed in certain kinds of human control. And I just want to lift up that she chose not to do that, which is another reason that I love this beet so much. And I also wanted to pass around these seeds. These are Haudenosaunee skunk beans. And these were seeds that were given to us by a very well-intentioned white settler person at the beginning of Fruition, a la, you're interested in regional adaptation. Here are some profoundly regionally adapted seeds. And we grew them, and they are phenomenal. And we actually shared and sold them for a number of years, and we no longer do. As we learn better, we are learning to do better. And that looks a lot of ways. And the complexities are rich and real and deep and heartbreaking. The hypocrisies are endless. And how do we hold these oppositional truths? With the faith of a mustard seed. We are walking with all of these complexities. So I wanted to share with you these incredibly sacred beings that we no longer sell, we no longer share. We took all of the proceeds that we had made and all of those seeds, and we gave them to Ganand again to share with their communities and continue to be in relationship with them in really renewing and extraordinary ways. So seeds truly are teaching us so much. Oh my goodness, there's so many other things to share. It's so hard to keep myself on track. I just want to say those are figs, and I'm glad that you're getting to meet them at their first year of life.
These are figs.
Yeah, there's some tiny, tiny, tiny little figs just starting. So when you come back next year and the year after that and the year after that, I can't wait. By this time in August, we will have figs to share. So don't be shy. And I also wanted to lift up, yes, all of the diversity in that dianthus behind you that is mostly harvested for seed. We've been harvesting seed for almost 2 months on those. And just look at all of that diversity. And this is more and more what we are growing at Fruition, rather than growing these uniform varieties that all look the same, taste the same, have similar dates to maturity. We are wanting to grow plants that have lots of traits that are very important. Yes, like deliciousness, like reliability, adaptability, and dependability, but don't necessarily need to look the same. And I just love to lift up that I've been learning the last few years about the parallels between human eugenics and plant eugenics follow the same exact trajectory, that thinking our plants need to look the same, expecting a tomato to be red, right? And to think that a carrot is orange and long, that when we have these ideas all stem from a similar time and a similar colonial mindset. So increasingly we are like, oh, you're welcome. This is what beautiful, delicious, dependable, but diversity looks like. So I wish you could have seen that a couple months ago, but still they are hanging on in some glorious ways to continue blossoming. And next, let's head into another tunnel. And watch your step. Welcome to Fruition Seeds, land of booby traps. Hi, by the way. Oh, yes. Yes. Oh, yes. And honestly, I don't know how long my last day is there here and yeah, they nest somewhere right over there. And come on in, and again, watch your step. And come on in. Does anyone recognize this plant? Dill? Yes, it's in the dill family. Exactly.
That's why I let Dill go.
These are carrots going to seed in the exact same Apiaceae family as dill. You totally nailed it.
They look like Queen Anne's lace.
They look exactly like Queen Anne's lace. They're the same exact species as Queen Anne's lace. They literally cross with Queen Anne's lace, which is why we plant it super early so they can get ahead of the curve and flower before Queen Anne's lace. And in this little moment, while we're here with these carrots, I wanted to just step back for a moment and imagine all of the past generations of carrot as a prelude to some seeds of joys and concerns. So carrot, indeed, the ancient, not so ancient ancestor is Queen Anne's lace. And so imagine, have any of you tasted Queen Anne's lace? It is white and branching, so bitter, almost tastes like pine sol. I taste a lot of things, it's true, even things I know that aren't going to be necessarily delicious, just so I can be, kind of in relationship with them. So I've definitely eaten Queen Anne's lace and can confirm that it is a bitter pine sol-esque experience. And it's amazing to me that our ancestors, our brilliant indigenous ancestors, had the imagination to think this could be delicious and to save a few of those roots, to plant them out, to let them grow and go to seed, to save those seeds and to continue selecting them. And this is, imagine Iran 6,000 years ago. And then they traveled to the west, they traveled to the east. In China, they were used for thousands of years as medicine before, right? Those bitter medicinal qualities before they were actually a culinary food. And they were very not accepted in Europe. Europe was like, parsnips are delicious. Thank you. It wasn't until some brilliant Dutch folks found an orange strain. And that was only in the mid 1700s. That carrots became a significant food. So honestly, carrots in the spectrum of what are we eating today as food on our plates, carrots are one of the most recent additions to our culinary lives and imaginations. So just wanting to lift up how much imagination and joy and concern and deep sorrow and grieving that it takes to create food and be food for ourselves and for our world. So I wanted to share that as a prelude to us sharing now just some time of lifting up sorrows in our lives, personally and collectively in the world. And then some joys before we move on in the spirit of, oh gosh, what is our next principle? Yes, the free and responsible search for truth and meaning.
I like your gnome overalls.
Oh, me
Are
too.
those chickens?
So yes, in
Honey, the gnome. And those gnomes sitting on mushrooms.
it's so silly. My 5-year-old self is so happy to be in overalls still. So I'd love to invite us all in the spirit of our free and responsible search for truth and meaning, honoring all imaginations, past, present, and future. Just open this time for any and all of us to share any concerns that are on our hearts today.
I have two to share. We'll be doing some work with the Team 6 and UUCC to develop dignity bags to share with people being released from detention in Batavia. They're just put on the street basically when they get out of detention with hardly anything in their hands except a bus ticket. So that's one thing. The other thing is that I'm concerned about a couple of migrants that I know, mother and son, who probably are going to lose their apartment and may become homeless at the end of September.
That's on the hoses. It's like a plane.
Would anyone on Zoom like to share a concern? I might need to. I don't know if people can unmute themselves.
They usually can't.
Okay.
I can unmute myself and I can say that my joy is that everything is moving ahead for the change in my life. That's from Pat. And I'm going to look and see. It looks like no one put any other joys or concerns in, or if anyone has a joy and concern on Zoom and would like to be unmuted, just send me a message in chat that you'd like to be unmuted. I guess it's not happening.
I'd love to share the great joy of sharing the farm with you all today, both in body and on Zoom and on spirit and in spirit in all the ways. So thank you so much for being a part of this place. And for all of the joys and all of the sorrows, unspoken and in our hearts, just planting a seed for them to grow and continue to journey with us in ways that might yet nourish us and future generations. And next, let's eat watermelon. Let's go to another tunnel. I'm so sorry for everyone on Zoom for all the ways you'll have to imagine.
They're often dry, but they dry very much with color.
Yeah.
They have a nice vibrant color. Get that? Did you lose your shoe again?
Can we play this game?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
We're gonna eat watermelon.
Oh, you know, this just in. I forgot my knife back at the front. So on our way back, we'll scoop up some watermelons and we will start them. Well, that'll be the end. Oh, Marty Dodge. A round of applause. That's a knife.
Save the day.
Fabulous.
Sunglasses.
Oh, yes, we've got it all. So for this principle, I would like to lift up the acceptance of one another and encouragement of spiritual growth in our congregations and in our world, And for this, I would love to just celebrate these watermelons, because in the spirit of adaptation, as we all are every moment, especially should we choose. So this is one of the primary reasons why seeds are so sacred and dear as teachers to me, and especially watermelons, because I grew up in my father's garden and I thought that we couldn't grow watermelon. Specifically, I thought that we couldn't eat watermelon that we grew. Every few years we would grow watermelon and it would take up lots of garden space, and then we might get a few little watermelons and they would not really mature. They might get pink inside, but they would never be sweet like a watermelon in my imagination. And so I remember announcing to my father once that, I'm sorry, Dad, watermelons are just a waste of garden space. And I've never been a practical person ever. So I thought that watermelons were not something that we could grow in our short seasons. And then when I moved to Maine, working on a farm in Maine, we were growing watermelons with the names like Cream of Saskatchewan and other short season melons. And I was like, oh, I just need to grow different kinds of seeds. And so regional adaptation is so significant. So when we started Fruition, Matthew and I, 10 years ago, we crossed some of our favorite short season watermelons, and this is across a longer story. But yes, there are no reason that you can't grow watermelons here in our short seasons. Our imaginations are the limit, and also our capacities to just have access to these seeds that might already exist and are well on their way. And so in the spirit of this principle of accompanying each other in our spiritual growth, as individuals, as communities, as collectives, the adaptation of these plants, and specifically the sweetness of watermelon, the tenacity of watermelon, even in short seasons, is just this epitomizing deity in my life.
I was just talking to a flower.
Oh, can you tell us what you were learning?
No, I was just asking if my sunglasses were upside down, and it said yes. I turned it around.
Plants are wonderful friends. Let me count the ways.
Yeah.
So wise. So yeah, let's eat a watermelon.
I know. Watermelon. Picking watermelon.
If you'd love to see how we choose
I like having the watermelon flower.
so I like to tap on them. And there's this pink, pank, punk phenomena. And so pink, pank, punk, think like higher pitch pink, pank, and lower pitch is punk. So here's a pitch, listen. And another. We're just going to listen for a moment.
Okay.
So you can hear the difference. Ooh, that's different.
Yeah.
You hear some are higher. Ooh. And some are lower. So the lower they are, the more mature they are. There's also a few other clues, like the tendrils right on the closest vine being brown and dry. But let's give this one a try. And let's hop out. And now you can talk to them, my friend.
Okay. Goodbye, watermelon. Yeah. Why did oval shapes though?
Oh my gosh, remember all those the flowers that were all the different colors and what diversity can look like and taste like? Watermelon can be all different sizes, not just round. And sometimes, did you see how it just cracked open? That is a sign of a ripe watermelon too. And sometimes they can be totally dark on the flesh. Sometimes they can be light green. Sometimes they can be striped. Sometimes they can be latticed. Oh, I wouldn't torture you otherwise, my friend. Ooh, what a hack job. Pardon me, friends. Let's pass them around.
I want a watermelon.
Ooh, let's pass them around before we take a bite. Make sure you're giving one to a friend.
Juicy.
Can you pass them? And before you take a bite, give them to someone else. So we all will have practice in sharing our collective abundance. Oh, thank you.
Piece of ice cream.
Yes. Thanks for spreading them around. We're getting close.
I found a seed. A black seed.
Oh, I love you no less. Do we all have a slice? Oh, we're so close.
Petra, how long do you have to let them stay on the vine for the seeds to be dry?
Oh, when a watermelon is fully ripe and edible, mature ripe, the seeds are also fully ripe.
Oh,
So we can have our cake and eat it too.
Are we saving these seeds?
We are not. I do recommend you crunch them. Fun fact, watermelons were domesticated, which I don't love the word for. They co-adapted with humans first as a seed crop, as a protein-rich. Did everyone get some? So yeah, in Africa as a seed crop for thousands of years. It was totally bitter flesh, and then it was only about 1800 years ago that sweetness was ever a thing. So yeah. Oh my gosh. So cheers, friends. Would anyone like to augment the joys they're putting into the world and wishes for the world as we toast watermelon and how else we're adapting in our lives? To the sweetness.
Sometimes I eat the white part of the rind.
I do every time. We can be friends. So
It's great.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
do not like the white
And
part.
we'll bring several back for the potluck too, so don't worry.
I just don't like the dark green. It's so hard
Mm.
to. I never.
That's
tried it.
fair.
What would you like us to do?
Good question. When we get to the hedgerow, we'll just huck them into the hedgerow.
What's the hedgerow?
Oh, the hedgerow is where the edge of the forest is. It did. Thank you. Oh my gosh. So in this next moment, I would love to lift up our fifth principle, the right to conscious and the use of democratic process within our congregations and society at large. And in the spirit of democracy, I wanted to shout out our dear friends Kira and Lisa, who keep bees here at the farm. And bees are such beautiful examples of democracy. They are, does anyone know a few things about bees?
When they collect nectar, pollen gets on their legs, and when they get to a flower, the pollen lands on the flower, and it keeps the flower alive.
Amazing. These are magic. Yes. So they are incredibly collective beings. They truly live for their collective more than individuals. When a bee stings us, they are giving their lives for the entire colony. And a fun fact, bees are female. All the worker bees are female. The only males are drones, and their whole thing is just to give their sperm to the queens, who sometimes come and find them in the sky. It's a very small percentage of the entirety of the colony. The rest, all of the foragers, all of the undertakers, all of the things, all of the layers of bee life are female, and they all are collectively making decisions. There's the queen, but the thing is, queen makes it sound like there's a hierarchy, and that the queen is maybe like a king, and maybe there's some kind of like more power that the queen has. In the case of bee colonies, it's just not true. The queen is actually truly doing the work of her comrades. They're all saying, this is how many of these kinds of bees, like eggs, to be laying now. And so they're giving her the directive. She is simply enacting the wisdom of the entire colony. And they dance a lot too as they decide to move to different places. They communicate in lots of different ways, but they have all of these elaborate ways that they use their bodies and dance to be sharing information and joy and communicating with each other. So wanted to shout out the bees. They're at that far corner of this field, and as we walk around you'll surely see them, and don't be afraid. They are very, very peaceful bees. And also wanted to just sing a little song. Speaking of democracy, do any of you know Travis Knapp? He's a singer-songwriter in Ithaca. Yes. And you know his democracy song. So I thought we could do a little call and response a la Travis Knapp's beautiful song. So this is just a little part of a much wider song about democracy, and we'll do it call and response style. And so in this call and response though, I'll sing at a certain pitch, and then you all respond at a little different pitch. So I'll sing, "This is what democracy looks like," and then you all sing, "This is what democracy looks like." So let's try that again. I sing, "This is what democracy looks like." And then you sing, "This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
And then here's just a straight up call and response. One voice.
One voice,
Echo it back.
echo it back,
Become stronger.
become stronger
And stronger.
and stronger
And stronger.
and stronger
And stronger.
and stronger
And stronger.
and stronger.
When the people speak, the truth is heard.
When the people speak, the truth is heard.
When the truth is heard, the people move.
When the truth is heard, the people move.
When the people move, they can't be stopped.
When the people move, they can't be stopped.
We're all in this together.
We're all in this together.
Maybe so, it is so. And friends, I forget where we're off to next. I'm gonna check my notes. Thanks again, Danielle. I love it. Yes, we are going to talk about the sixth principle, the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. Maybe let's do this at the hedgerow, where we will ceremonially huck our watermelon rinds into the hedgerow. And thanks again to Marty Dodge for having a knife in his pocket.
Knife, please. Can I? Is there a 9th principle and a 10th principle
There will be.
Not
You
yet.
haven't imagined that.
and an 100th principle?
Mm-hmm. You get to be part of it.
Hooray! Did you hear that, flower? Eat. Okay, goodbye.
They are hard at work this morning.
So let's huck our watermelon rinds all as one.
Should we throw them in? Yes.
We're going to all line up and throw our watermelon rinds into the hedgerow all at once.
We're just gonna throw them on the floor.
We're going to throw them into the forest. And let's just hold our watermelon rinds in our hands for a moment and think about who might eat this watermelon rind. We're not going to eat this watermelon rind, but it's going to be eaten and really enjoyed by someone, by something, and it's going to become something else, just like it's becoming us right now as we speak. Let's just think about all the beings that will yet be nourished by this watermelon.
I
for
bet that
just a
it's gonna
moment.
be an ant. Ants eat everything. And maybe a fly.
How about
Yeah.
raccoons? They nibble.
Ooh, yes. And a possum, maybe?
I guess.
Wow.
A possum named Blossom. I think it's gonna be a bear.
Oh, it could be a bear. We definitely have
A
bears.
raccoon.
already living on it.
Mhm.
A bear named Mr. Bear. A raccoon.
On the count of 3, let's throw our beautiful watermelon rinds to the bears, to the ants, to everything in between. To the fun. And who else? The possums named Possum.
To the ants.
To the ants.
To the
1.
ant named Mr. Ant. And the raccoon named Mr. Raccoon.
Ready? Let's go. 1, 2, 3. Oh, quick bites. I'm not afraid. So let's head. That's so good. Oh my gosh. I think we can all cross the bridge safely. We have a highly sketchy bridge and it's beautiful on the other side of the hedgerow. So let's carefully cross.
About the bridge.
We have a rather sketchy bridge that I think we're all capable of crossing. And let's take a peek and we can take a vote. If even one person is like, I don't know, I don't think so, there are other fabulous places to go. So please don't decide.
No, Petra's the leader. You just don't step in the holes, right?
That isn't a risky bridge at all.
Thanks.
Going up that way.
You
Yeah,
could.
don't put your ankle. Oh my God.
Oh,
Feet, Jana, not the water.
water
Feet, not the water. Thank you. There you go.
Good job, guys. I like that you recorded that so we'd have the footage in case someone.
All right, okay.
Sure. But let's make a circle here, or maybe a semicircle so we can all see the hill. So, oh yeah. Yes. So as we stand here, I would love to invoke our 6th principle, this goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. And specifically, I'd like to lift up the words from Rowan White, an Indigenous seed keeper, and mentor, and Mohawk. And she says 150 years ago, seed companies didn't exist. And if we do our work well, they won't need to exist in 150 years. So I would just love to stand on this land and think about this principle and commit to you all that we are doing our work.
I
that
know.
Seed, oh
The
yeah.
9th principle can be to grow the community.
Yes, love it.
Yay.
Love it. Here we go. We're doing it now. We're living it. This is the living tradition. So yeah, it's very important to us knowing
That can be
that
the 10th principle.
there's so many. Just wait. So it's really important to us knowing that we are doing work that we will not see the end of the need for seed companies in our lifetimes. But nonetheless, what can we be doing now to be making this possible? And similarly, think of all the things, whether it's climate, whether it is democracy, any number of things that we dream of and hope for and might seed, but won't see the fruition of in our lifetimes. And how do we nonetheless keep sowing these seeds and keep cultivating them? So just committing to you all to not just be a seed grower and a seed company, but to be actively creating communities of care and seed keeping, so that seed can again be not a commodity, not a bought and sold phenomena, but something that's a commons. And again, in the same way that there's air here that we are all just breathing, and water here that we can all just drink, and sunshine that we can all just bask in, and shade that takes care of us also. How can we be treating seeds in such ways that their generosity and care can more fully be amplified by our actions?
That reminds me. It's weird because I just keep spitting watermelon seeds on the ground.
Yes, you are the seed spreaders. This is what the plants are
doing it. The ground, more watermelons. Grow, watermelons, grow. That's the spirit.
That's right.
That's what you said.
And let's see, perhaps we can. And here, let's also take a few minutes to walk about in honoring the seventh principle, which is respect for the interdependent web of all existence, of which we are a part. Let's take 5 minutes to walk, perhaps to just sit, to just explore all around and see how many species you can find. Different kinds of beings. See if you can find or imagine being in community with all 5 kingdoms, the plants, the animals, the fungi, and beyond. And I wonder too, if we will all come back, and if you're so moved to share a reflection of what it's like to share space and to be home, sharing home with all these beings, that will be marvelous. So yes, thanks for taking a few minutes. Listen for another song to call us all back, but have fun taking the next 5 minutes to just explore the farm and greet as many beings as you possibly can. Personally.
Those are ones that
People do it on the winter list.
They do. I have seen people do it on their winter list, and I say, good for you, not for me. Yes, darling. You don't want to eat fish. Why is that?
The first reason I don't like it. The second reason,
It's a good reason not to eat fish.
and the
best
second
reason.
reason, which is a pretty good reason,
Uh-huh.
I don't want nature to die. That's a good idea. I'll use
That's
my
fair.
I'll use my hat. And if you eat
Honestly, most fish is farmed just the way cows are.
this is my hat. It's a catch a fish.
Please don't put your hat in the water.
I really want to catch a fish.
I know you really want to, but we're not catching fish here.
They really should give parents a bingo card like every day. It thinks things you never think you have to say.
Just because you hit
And you can fill it out so
a
fast.
couple nights ago on
You know my
the
sunglasses
a river well in a circle.
Hey, Mom.
Come on back.
I happen to remember the Latin name of this thing. It's Daucus carata.
Yes.
This is carrot. But I didn't know it. It took a while for it to get orange. It was a genetic fluke, and then somebody promoted that, so we have carrots.
Yes, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Yes. Would anyone like to share any reflections? My friend, please.
I found a group of water skiers on the little with the bridge.
Wow. I'm so glad you said hello to them.
I found a grasshopper and some bugs, and it sprinkled a little.
I heard the sound of your neighbors.
Because water is helpful for the plants.
Your wonderful animals and bug neighbors. I heard birds
Yes.
and crickets and bees.
Oh, that's so fabulous. I'm so glad you got to meet
What is
so
it?
many of our
And I also
friends.
saw a mud dabber.
Yes, nice spy.
I think I see a
Nice
praying
spy.
mantis. Look at that.
Fantastic.
Ooh, is that praying mantis?
Over there.
Oh, we have a praying mantis.
It's white. Hi, cutie. That's so cool.
Wow.
You know what?
It's Sunday too. so-
Yeah. What does that mean? Oh, praying.
Praying mantis. And what kind of look like it's praying?
Wow.
Oh my, you want
She's like, no, thank you.
some
She does not want a hat. No.
It sounds there's a we shall respect nature.
It's fine, baby.
And nature shall respect us.
She used to hospice the millipedes that found their way
There's
into
a
our
praying
house when she was like,
Hello,
bread in the fridge.
Oh
my god.
Hello, pretty.
Watch your step.
I see you. Hello, beautiful.
Yes, they are so spectacular. You are. You
Hey.
have a good eye.
Oh, that
There
looks
it
like-
is.
that one looks like some straw.
Where'd it go?
Mhm.
I'm
Good
good.
environment.
I'm good.
Lots of dogs that are here on the
He's
farm.
blending
I
into
see
the.
poop.
Our dogs are much
the
smaller,
yellow.
but that could
See
be
some poop. A
puppy.
cricket.
You guys see a
Is
cricket
that
too?
poop?
Maybe she would. I bet anything. That's what she's eating, right?
Yeah,
Remember
she's
feeding our
looking
praying
like
mantis crickets?
Yes.
We once had a pet praying mantis.
And it died.
They do not live very long, but
But tarantulas live yours. We've had that for years.
I don't think you'll find a tarantula out
First,
here.
first praying mantis.
Well, as we stand here in circle with our mantis friend and so many other friends we have just met.
Like our birds.
Like
our
the
bees.
birds. I'd love to. Yeah, we're drawing to the close, and I'd love to lift up our final principle now for the moment. The eighth principle, journeying towards spiritual wholeness by working to build a diverse, multicultural, beloved community. By our actions that accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and in our institutions. And for this morning, what I'd love to share in this light is perhaps you all have been hearing about what's happening in Seneca Falls right now and has been happening for the last 2 decades. And just wanting to lift up that there is an incredible human rights crisis happening right in our backyard. And that if, look, I see the nods. So it sounds like you all are aware of Halftown Must Go. So I won't start at the top from the beginning. But just wanting, I'd love to send you all a link to some of the ways that we can be showing up right now, both on the ground and body, and phone numbers we can call, Jill Gillibrand's office, and also ways that you can financially support and other ways to be amplifying, because so many people don't know. I was there on Thursday, and just people driving by one of the homes that had been bulldozed on Wednesday, and people were like, what's happening? Who's Clint Halftown? They lived a mile down the road, and somehow 20 years later, we're not talking about this enough. So there's so many ways that we can be embodying love and beloved community with our 8th principle. And right now is a particularly potent moment to be showing up for our Gayagohono family in Seneca Falls. With the Halftown Must Go campaign. Yeah.
I want to be a farmer when I grow up.
You got so many options. There's so many different kinds of farmers too. We should talk. Don't be shy.
I'm going to be a vegetarian.
There's lots of ways to express love in the world. And so I'd love to do a final little pilgrimage to our compost pile. We're going to compost some things together. But I think it's maybe a little bit more beautiful here. So I'd like to sing Spirit of Life together while we are here right now. So let's all share a moment of silence. And let's listen to the crickets and the indigo buntings. Let's listen to the wind blowing through the leaves of the trees. Let's imagine Bill Mells as he would be tinkling the ivory. And after a few moments of silence, please join me in singing Spirit of Life. Spirit of life, come unto me, sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion, blow in the wind, rise in the sea. Move in the hand, giving life to serve of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me. Come to me. My phone is tired.
Low battery.
10%. We got plenty of time. To the compost and watch your step.
Compost?
To the compost.